I'm very, very pleased to welcome here for the first time as new superintendent and artistic director of Teatro, alla Scala, Dr. Fortunato Ortombina, and together with Paolo Pesano, who is a director of communication, who've been here in the past, for this special occasion, actually, which we've been repeating now for 3 years, which is the presentation of the new season 25-26 of what we consider the most important Italian theater and one of the most important theaters all over the world. Actually, La Scala doesn't need any introduction. We were discussing with Fortunato Ortombina that it's in 3 years it will celebrate 250 years actually. And I just learned that it was the first public theater actually in Europe. Culture. It's more than it's a symbol of our own identity, probably because of this long history. And even some personalities, when you think about Puccini or Verdi or Toscanini and getting closer to us, Maria Callas or Maestro Bardo, these are pages of history actually, for music and art. So La Scala is a kind of aura for us. It's something. Patience. Let me say, but you know it already, that Americans are, in terms of foreign community, are the main public of La Scala. This has been like this for years. And this says a lot, the fact that we have this presentation here today. So without further ado, welcome again and enjoy this talk. Very sorry, I apologize, it was a misunderstanding. I have to give the floor to our director of the Cultural Institute, Claudio Pagliano, because he's taking the floor before. Sorry, perdonami Claudio.
We are so busy that something is missing always because too many events every day. Anyway, I'm just very happy to be here and totally agree, of course, with the Council has just said. La Scala here is an institution that brings Americans in Italy, actually in Milan. So it's very important for us to promote La Scala. I hope that La Scala, maybe even with the help of the institution, can come here to have a big concert next year, because it's a big anniversary, 250 years of United States. So it would be great to be here, and on this wish, I give you the floor. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. He's right, the director of the Italian Institute of Culture, because actually I think the last time the La Scala came to the United States, it was 1976. So exactly 50 years ago for the same university. So thanks a lot to remind to everybody of us that the important step of the history of La Scala. Don't confuse, because the orchestra of La Scala, named now Orchestra Philharmonic of La Scala, goes around the world independently as an enterprise, as it happens with the Wiener Philharmoniker and the orchestra of the theater. But the theater is done not only by the orchestra. Of course, the orchestra is an important part, but there are singers, chorus, technicians, dancers. And the last time it was, and I think it was also the first time so thanks a lot to remind us that we have to repeat. So here, Prego.
To introduce the Scala season.
It is a great pleasure to be here once again to introduce La Scala season with our new general
That's a
analyst
bit too much.
director.
Keep a bit. Otherwise,
Okay.
otherwise, Brian James will be worried about your voice.
So tonight we will speak about our season, but also about some initiatives we have in the States, namely an exhibition together with the Italian Institute in Washington about a movie which was presented yesterday at the Los Angeles French Film Festival, and about an association, the Scala Association of America. And but let's start from the season, and we would like to let our people, our workers, introduce the season through a video, and then Mr. Ortombina will say some words about the content. But we really wanted to remind you that La Scala is made of many people, and the passion of these people is what brings our production together. So we can start with the video.
Teatro, alla Scala, for me in 3 words, is history, creativity, and innovation.
Para mí el Teatro a la Scala representa excelencia, pasión y profesionalidad. Dedizione, passione e talento.
Innovation, Leidenschaft,
Éclectisme, ballet, opéra, symphonique, on fait tout.
È un qualcosa che si tramanda, di saper fare, una certa storia.
è una tradizione che portiamo avanti.
Un punto di arrivo.
La grande quête de toute ma vie.
Metto voi dove? È la mia casa.
Lì ho proprio pensato, io voglio vivere qua.
Comincia con una passione e
Ti contagia questa cosa.
Il lavoro più bello del mondo. Sicuramente il 7 dicembre è la data più importante anche per noi, per i laboratori, perché significa l'apertura della stagione.
Affrontiamo tutte le opere in maniera molto seria e precisa, però è vero che a livello emotivo il 7 dicembre rimane il 7 dicembre.
È sempre comunque un'occasione speciale e quando all'inizio si spengono le luci succede qualcosa di magico in questa atmosfera.
Anche questo orgoglio, no? Di sapere che fai una serata che comunque è per Milano, ma è vista un po' in tutto il mondo. Noi vediamo la stagione, aspettiamo sempre con ansia. La grande aspettativa è quella di fare il ring.
Questa nuova produzione che devo dire è bellissima, i due maestri sono molto amati dall'orchestra, entrambi, sono due grandissimi direttori.
Quest'anno faremo questa nuova produzione che è Imperiale Esame, che non facciamo dal 2005 e che sarà il debutto in Scala di Castellucci come regista. Una bella sfida per l'allestimento, perché quello che lui vuole fare è uno spettacolo basato sulla luce, su un'atmosfera molto leggera e fluida. Abbiamo a che fare con uno spazio molto concreto da quello del palcoscenico, sicuramente è una sfida importantissima e molto intrigante per noi.
il va pensiero, cioè il va pesante, il va pensiero, ha una sua dimensione, una sua importanza, no? Perché per noi è un riferimento incredibile.
Milano, che è stata una produzione meravigliosa. Sono molto contenta che venga ripresa anche la regia perché è bellissima, era proprio il senso che avrei voluto dare io suonando a questa musica.
Le caratteristiche migliori di questa accademia è proprio una vera e propria palestra. I ragazzi da qui devono subito entrare nell'atmosfera del palcoscenico.
Di apertura stagione è un momento molto importante per la compagnia perché richiede l'impegno di ogni singolo elemento della compagnia. La Bella Addormentata è una favola che unisce la grandezza della coreografia, la bellezza della favola e la potenza della musica.
The new triple bill will be presented in March with McGregor, Mayor and Harin. Will be very strong, magical and I think very interactive for the public. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland will be something very, very lively, very colourful, and I think it will be very interesting for the public and for us dancers to experience.
Di Shot è un balletto invece molto esplosivo, pieno di virtuosismi, è molto anche divertente ballare di Shot da parte del corpo di ballo. Giselle è un grande classico del Teatro alla Scala, diciamo che è sempre ricorrente, è un balletto che ci rappresenta, che piace moltissimo al pubblico e piace moltissimo a noi ballare perché fra di noi ragazze, le mie colleghe c'è un'unione, una connessione, perché c'è proprio il tempo di sentirci fra di noi, di connetterci.
Una serata dedicata a George Balanchine e Pina Bausch, due pilastri, due poli fondamentali della danza del Novecento, quindi artisticamente per noi è assolutamente incredibile poterci confrontare con due geni così e soprattutto Pina Bausch è la prima volta che sarà alla Scala.
And I think we are ready. I think it'll be very, very, very big.
Say some words about our remand supported by Intesa San Paolo.
Yeah, first I want to sorry. Not a good start. First I want to thank the Consulate here for this opportunity, the director of the Italian Institute, as I told, and then I want to greet a lot of friends I see here, the Presidente dell'Associazione Amici della Scala qui in America. I see Brian Jage, who has been actually part of this clip you saw, because in La Forza del Destino he was Alvaro, already 1 year ago. And in 1 year he will open another season. La Scala will see what happens. Anyhow. Then I greet also Harvey Sachs, who is here, who is living in New York. For everybody who hasn't already read the book, the last book on Toscanini, I recommend to read the book of Toscanini that he wrote. Is an opportunity to learn many things, not only about Toscanini, La Scala and Milano, but also about New York in the same time. And so, the season is maybe there is another person that I don't. There is a conductor also Is there a conductor somewhere? Do we have a conductor here somewhere? Ah, Riccardo Frezza, yeah. Because in this, Riccardo Frezza, of course, is here. And in this moment, at the Metropolitan Opera House, there are 3 Italian conductors. They are now, with these conductors of this generation, I always speak about boys, but I remember when they started, now they are still boys anyhow, but they've been able to grow up and being here, conducting here at the Metropolitan Opera House in terms of relation about culture and countries. Riccardo is doing Sonnambula, there is Daniele Rustioni doing Don Giovanni, and Giacomo Sacripanti doing La Fille du Régiment. So, but that is a long story, of course, of Italian artists coming here. We mentioned Arturo Toscanini, but beside Arturo Toscanini there was a lot. So the relation between Italy and the United States about lyric art is one thing, but then especially the relation between also La Scala and the Metropolitan Opera House, let's say New York and Milan, about the industry of music has been very important through many generations. And every time I think in our job when we are of course we have to find the way to put together a good cast, the best cast every time. But what we really have to do is to serve an institution, and with the institution to serve a town. So the relation of the town and the theatre is something absolutely unique that you can find in every town where you go, and you look at the relation between the theatre and the town. You see that everywhere is different, everywhere is producing with a different taste, not only in terms of music, but also in terms of approach, different approach. And for sure, I don't know, Opera House, for what they did in the story, even if the Metropolitan Opera House is much younger than La Scala, because the Metropolitan Opera House has been opened in 1883, maybe it was, 87, no, 83, yes, 83. And La Scala in 2028 will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the foundation, 1778 it was. I remember in that time when La Scala came here in 1976, it was that opening, it was Otello with a young tenor named Placido Domingo at that time, who sang Otello only one time before, because normally they say when you write for La Scala, you have to have a certain experience about the title. He had only one experience, it was in Hamburg, where he did Otello. Of course, he already sang in La Scala, but it was his second Otello of his life with Carlos Kleiber, Mirella Freni. This was 50 years ago, and this will be an anniversary that we will celebrate in 26, and we'll see how we will celebrate this anniversary. But in the celebration that we will do in 2028 of our history, there will it will be a celebration of a memory of what it meant, lyric music, this literature. You know, when we were at the university, they taught us what it means, national literature. So when you are in France, national literature means Victor Hugo. When you are in Germany, it means Goethe and Thomas Mann. When you are in Russia, it means Dostoevsky. When you are in Italy, it doesn't mean Alessandro Manzoni, it means Giuseppe Verdi. This is something that when we speak about this music for our country, is one of the values that we have founded our essence as a country. We are also a young country, actually. We became a country after the United States of America. Actually, we are one of the youngest countries all around the world, actually. But for us, this music is really the main part of our cultural DNA. So, of course, here in the United States, if I think, for example, that Lorenzo da Ponte came here and he made teaching Italian at the university and putting on stage maybe the first time Don Giovanni. Normally they say that it was the first opera performance in the States. That I don't know. For sure, we have documentation about that production, but I'm sure that all the migrants that went towards the far west, I'm sure that in some of this community that we saw in many movies, probably there was somebody who put on a barber of Seville or something like that. For sure, it happened. So we are in the country that has already a very important tradition about music, about opera. But of course, we are a country where, in terms of show, the main industry is movies, cinema. We know, and just to explain what I told about Verdi in Italy, there is a series on one of these platforms. I don't know if it's Netflix or the other one, The Crown. The first outing, when they go out together, Charles, actual king, when he was prince, and Diana, they go to the Covent Garden to see La Traviata, and coming home, Diana says, "Oh, I love Verdi. Verdi is so romantic." And he replied, "My dear, it's not only romantic. Verdi made the unification of Italy." So, it's true that Verdi did, but I think if they found the time to put in a series, in such a popular series, this means so. It has to remind us how important this point. So when we speak about the season, I have to say I became a superintendent 7 months ago, so the majority of this season was already done. But as I say, when you find a season that is already done, you have to behave as you have to behave with an adopted son. You have to be more careful. So, but I think that when you get in-house, you have the responsibility of all the people, and in the case of Scala, there are 900 musicians, technicians, people of the administration, workers. So you are responsible of their job and of their result. So this is a season where I feel completely responsible, and I have to say, in terms of relation with the town, is a season where you can find really a point of view, a taste, and also a fully a philosophy of making a season in proper representing what is Milan. For the importance that each one of these appointments has in the history of Milan. You could see in Milan and the Lady Margaret of Saint-Discret of Shostakovich. Here we go to the time of the Cold War, and the relation between Milan and Moscow, Milan and Russia, the 50s and the 70s of the 20th century. I understand that to speak about Cold War and relation with Russia here in New York is not so. So it's something that you knew maybe even better than Italy in that time, what it meant the Cold War. But this is the time when in Milano, secretly, they've been able to get the manuscript of Dr. Zivago by Pasternak, and it was printed by an editor, Feltrinelli, in Milano, because of the relation, the political, industrial, the relation that there was in that time between Italy and Russia made it possible. And thanks to all these spies working on the manuscript of Boris Pasternak came out, they heard that Shostakovich was doing a second version of the Lady Macbeth on Science. And they tried to do the same coup d'essai, to have the world premiere of this second version of Lady Macbeth in Milano. But this time, after what happened with Dr. Zivago, the Russian intelligence has been more careful, and the world premiere happened in Russia. But it's a very spectacular piece with an incredible. I saw we are already rehearsing with the director conducted by Riccardo Chailly, who is our music director, who will conduct the last opening as a music director, and the next music director will be Myung Won Chung, who is a Korean conductor, but he was born in Korea, but I consider him one of the most Italian I knew in my life, for the way how he's able to conduct Verdi, Italian. And let's say until now is going quite well, the project, to don't repeat the history, because every time when there was a change of music director in a Scala, it ended with a lot of noise, people shutting the door, going out with a certain diplomatic violence, let's say. Les adieux of the music director in the Scala always been sometimes also a bit spectacular. So this time the change will be much more soft. We will have other project with Maestro Chailly, even when the new music director will be in the position. Then comes the ring. The ring for Milano, this is a new ring. It will be completed with Götterdämmerung now at the beginning of 26. We have already done the three first days, Rheingold, Valkyrie, and Siegfried, and then we will have in March 2 cycles of the ring. This ring has been announced with Christian Thielemann. All the cast has done with him. Then he had an accident. He had to cancel, and we gave the full production to two different conductors, Simone Young and Alexander Sokin. And as our concertmaster told, they are doing very well the job until now. They're great conductors both. And it becomes even more spectacular, because every time after a performance, people stay in front of the theater to discuss until late. Is it better this conductor or is it better that conductor? So it's an ingredient of curiosity that comes out. And then, 10 years ago, more or less, an old friend, Jonathan Franks, who has been here at the Met for many years. Sure, of course, in every house you have pieces that you are sure you get sold out. But one of the most successful appointment here in New York, he told me, it has always been when you do Wagner, when you have a certain singer doing Wotan, but with the ring. And so it's a town with a certain tradition of Wagner here in New York. But in Italy also, Milano has been the first town where, there are a lot of theaters in Italy, but the first theater has been able to produce a full ring, Water Scala, and it was exactly 100 years ago. So this ring comes in an important anniversary of Wagner and La Scala together. Then comes Turandot, and Turandot, of course, it comes in 26, another anniversary, 100 years after the premiere. It was 2 years after the death of Puccini. Puccini is very close to us. It's just now we celebrated 100 years from the death last year, and it happened to me, but I'm sure to many of you, to new people. We knew people who knew Puccini. For example, there is Leo Nucci, a baritone that I'm sure you've heard many times. He learned the role of Gianni Schicchi with Gioacchino Forzano, and Gioacchino Forzano was who made the libretto with Puccini. So he's one of the most close, let's say, composer of a big repertoire, close to our time. Pelléas et Mélisande also has a certain story with La Scala, because the Italian premiere happened in La Scala with Arturo Toscanini. And I have to be careful when I speak about Toscanini looking at Harvey Sachs, because I'm worried that he will correct me immediately. But I remember quite well that they were expecting Debussy coming to Milano for the premiere, but he was not answering. At some point, Toscanini personally took a pen and paper, he wrote a letter, and he told, please come, maestro, so when we will be here, we will change together a bit something of this, your score. And after this letter, Debussy disappeared. He was so worried to face Toscanini, who wanted probably change something, that he never came, so historically we know, he never came not only to see the Pelléas et Mélisande, but he never came to Milan after that he received this letter. Another piece very related to Milano, we spoke about Verdi, is of course Nabucodonosor, the very first success of Verdi in the Teatro, alla Scala. Here there was a chorus member speaking about Va pensiero sulla Lidorata. And it will be a new production, still with the Maestro Chailly. Maestro Chailly has been music director 10 years, but these 10 years are only a segment of a long story of this conductor with La Scala, because he is Milanese and he started to conduct when he was 22, 23 years old in the 70s. So he will be one of the longest conductor in the history of La Scala. Of course, Nabucco it will be a new production, but this time we will perform with the divertissement. Verdi, every time that he was composing an opera for a French mother tongue theater like Paris, or in this case it was Brussels, he told every time forced to compose music of ballet, because he told that he hated to compose music of ballet. As that he hated to compose music of ballet. But when I listen, I look, such beautiful music he wrote for this divertissement. It's difficult to think that somebody wrote that music against a proper inspiration. Then Carmen, co-production with the Covent Garden, and here we will see the new, who will become 6 months later the new music director with the regie of Damiano Micheletto. Then comes this revival of Lucia di Lammermoor. Then you see Elisir d'Amore. This is a project that we do with the Academy of La Scala. The Academy of La Scala is really an important part of La Scala that started already 200 years ago. It was the beginning of the 19th century with the School of Dance, and then in the year came the School of Singing, came the School for the Technician, the School of Co-repetition, the School of Conducting, and so. And every year, with our young singers and our young technician, with our young orchestra, with our young chorus, we do a production, and this will be L'Elisir d'Amore. Then a revival of La Traviata, and a new production of Faust. Faust actually, it was the first opera performed at the Metropolitan Opera House. So the Metropolitan Opera House has been opened at the end of the 19th century with Faust, if I remember well, sung in Italian. I think, because that was the tradition. This will be a co-production with other theatre in Europe. Of ballet. The ballet is really part of La Scala. and is part of the feeling of the feeling of the town for La Scala. So the La Scala institution is done by the literature, the national literature that I told, but is done also by our dancers, by our company. The majority of them coming out from our school, and with a well-constructed trade union in between the school and the Royal Ballet, the main ballet company, happens now that we are able to run a season without any guest. We have only one guest in the season, who is Roberto Bolle, who is a guest, so he was born in our school, so okay, he was a very good pupil of the school, who made a career and is coming back every year, but so we could consider him a guest, as not a permanent employee, but he's a creation of La Scala also. And we see that the audience is partially different. So there is a part of the audience that comes to the ballet. The majority they are subscribers of both the season, but is really an important part of what has to be a very alive and active proposal of culture for the town. As the Sleeping Beauty that belongs to La Scala, done by for La Scala by Rudolf Nureyev. We have several of this production, and then you see also Carlo Fracci. Carlo Fracci was born as well as Roberto Bolle in our school, and then so in a relation between the old production, very classic production, and the most experimental and new choreography comes out a season that is really in a good moment, and I would say we are also so I advise you to come to Milan also to come to see the ballet, not only to see the opera where all our friends here are, because it is a very good lucky moment and a good moment in between for the relation properly in between the school and these young dancers that they are starting their career with all the energy to participate to what it means to be on the stage of La Scala. Then, of course, in La Scala there is a show every night, either an opera or a ballet or a concert or a recital of singing, chamber music. And we see how the participation, how the town participate to the life of La Scala. I remember, so I know people who never went to La Scala, but they told me when in the morning before to start to work, we open Il Corriere della Sera, the newspaper of Milano. The first thing that we look is what happened yesterday night in La Scala. And we feel this responsibility. It is a great pleasure to serve the town in this way. Of course, it's also a bit responsibility, because when somebody doesn't like a singer, and you don't be frightened, please, they don't hesitate at all to show you from the Loggione and so on. But this is part of the story of the house, and is maybe the main ingredient of a high level that has been rising all the time until now. So, I don't want to explain each one of the project, but because the season is on the website since 5 months now, so you know already. But what we would like we like to tell you and is really this relation. So to come to Milano and see what we do, of course, we are very proud of what we show, but we think also that is an experience to be there, to share an evening with the people who comes more or less every evening, and it's also not only a musical and artistic experience, but then around the theater there are very good restaurants, some very good hotels, so you can enjoy the town. I really think, I am not from Milano. I grew up far from Milano, and I had experience in our theater, and I saw really how important it is for every opera house to have a feeling with the town. So to represent the town with all the ambition, with the attitude, and what in every town is unique. And I think that when we speak about also, there is another adjective, international, but it's important to have an open view. But what I learned in my life, professional life, is that you are much international as much as you have very clear what is your identity. Because the energy of what it means, a town with theater, with its own literature, with this music, is something that it creates an energy that you could feel in every town. It's different with not only about taste, but and so we wait for you in Milan, of course.
Thank you, Fortunato Ortombina. Mr. Ortombina spoke about the bond between Milan and New York, between Italy and the United States. I'd like to introduce shortly 3 projects that we have together, Italy and the States. The first one is an exhibition who will take place in Washington starting January the 22nd, and this is an exhibition we are organizing together with the Italian Cultural Center in Washington, and it will be about Maria Callas' Luchino Visconti. We will celebrate next year 50 years from his death, and Franco Zeffirelli. So we will bring some drawings from and some costumes to Washington, which is important for us because it's really an heritage we like to share. We are proud to share. I must also quote the fact that the Berti Foundation helped us to restore these costumes. So this is the first point. The second one is that you saw in the video before all workers from La Scala talk about the job at La Scala with passion and pride. We made a movie. We made a documentary about the making of La Forza del Destino last year. It's a real movie. It's a documentary without interviews, without voiceover, with no talking heads, but just the camera following the workers, the artists, and all people from La Scala from 3 months before the first performance of La Forza del Destino until the opening night.
And at some point arrives also Brian J. So you
yes,
Brian J.
Yes. So this documentary was presented yesterday in Los Angeles. It will be screened in France next Sunday, and then in Germany, and then in Australia and other countries, and on television in Italy and France. And I just want to show you a short video. Is less than 1 minute, but I think it's somehow significant. do you want to say a word about having a camera around you for all this time?
Sure. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
I didn't plan on speaking, but it was really a different experience being followed all over with cameras and having people listening to your private conversations while you're talking to a director. And I think in the end it actually turned out to be something incredible. I showed up very late in the process for this production because I replaced another singer. And I didn't even know all the things that went into creating December 7. And when you watch this documentary, you really start to see the process from the very early stages of even hiring extras and dancers and going through every process along the way, getting to the point of December 7th. So for me, it was actually a real honor, and it's really special, and I hope everybody enjoys it.
Thank you, Brian. So, La Scala has many friends in the States, many friends in New York, and among these friends, I want to quote Milena Adamian-Schenkman. She is the president of the American Association for La Scala. And so we will have a gala dinner the day after tomorrow at the New York Historical. And I'd like to close this meeting asking Milena to say something about the association. Milena.
Good evening. So yes, after everything what Fortunato and Paolo said about Milano, there is no reason for me to emphasize why you want to live in Milan, when you want to spend time with La Scala, etc., which is what basically drove our personal story, drove our intention to support La Scala starting from 2021. It started as a family, short, personal story that grew in kind of grew attention of La Scala, and everyone realized it's in the mutual interest to create this association that supports La Scala. Why La Scala? Because there is just one La Scala. Because it's a legacy, but it's also the highest standard. And when you talk about, there is also Matt. And without taking anything away from Matt or La Scala, you want this, you want to provide the continuity of this kind of art and bring the best from La Scala, which has the standard and the highest stamp of approval, to the United States and vice versa, to bring in something of more of a agile to the 250 years old theater and just up a little bit. So that was the story behind the creating the association. The association is very young. We're just 2 years old, to not even 2.5 years old. In those 2 years, we've done a lot. So our impact has been seen and has been evaluated. So we're very proud of supporting almost 8 productions within those 2 years. And all of them were focused on the young generation, because this is the most important part, because first approaching La Scala, we came and said, well, how can we help? We didn't know much about how La Scala is funded. We did the full due diligence. We've learned that it's not the state-funded theater, so there is a need for help. And so, and we also wanted to be focused exclusively on, not exclusively, but mostly on the on continuity of this beautiful art for the young generation of performers, and also bringing young people, continue to bring young people to the opera houses. And so that's basically how our projects are all about. On November 1st, just the day after the Halloween and the day before the marathon in New York, at the New York Historical, we are hosting our 3rd annual benefit. And it's called For the Young and By the Young, the theme is. The reason For the Young means we are, this year we're going to focus on supporting productions of the shorter version of the opera adapted for children. So this way we can create continuity and make sure that the child who, between 5 maybe and 14 years old is not parents, but also have a rather pleasant experience and can potentially come back later on. By the young means that it's going to be performed by the academic students. So it's it's one of those projects that we're very proud about, and hopefully it's going to materialize. And L'Elisir d'Amore, that is a full production supported by the academia, which we historically supported for the last 3 years, will exist in that shorter version. So L'Elisir d'Amore, the full version, and L'Elisir d'Amore for children, that's going to be on in November 2026. So, to satisfy your curiosity, just come and join us on November 1st.
The Consul, we thank Fortunato Ortombina. He is Fortunato, but we are lucky to have him. And now there's a little drink, so if you have questions, everybody is here to answer them. Thank you.
È da soli 6 mesi alla Scala, ma è già a New York.
Sì, siamo venuti qui a presentare a New York e felicissimi di presentare qui la prossima stagione. New York è una città con la quale ci sono rapporti da molti decenni, per non dire da secoli, da Lorenzo da Ponte che è stato qui, la città dove si è rappresentata la prima opera di Verdi, Lombardi e la prima crociata, oltre a tanti artisti che sono venuti dopo, naturalmente in testa Arturo Toscanini.
Qual è il messaggio principale che la Scala vuole dare ai newyorkesi e agli americani in genere?
È un messaggio assolutamente di condivisione. La forza della nostra città è quella di avere sempre avuto relazioni internazionali e relazioni con con questa città e relazioni con questo teatro. Ci dividiamo molti artisti con questo teatro e anche molti spettatori, perché la maggior parte degli spettatori non italiani che vengono alla Scala sono cittadini statunitensi e molti vengono da New York. E questo è, come dire, siamo qui per coltivare una relazione che c'è e che vogliamo tenere cara, una relazione che deve essere buona per la Scala, ma che deve essere anche buona per il Metropolitan e per tutta la comunità che c'è qui.
Se lei potesse, prendere qualcosa dal Metropolitan per la Scala, ecco, cosa prenderebbe e cosa lei pensa che invece al Metropolitan magari potrebbe andare bene dalla Scala?
Che cosa prendere dal Metropolitan? Onestamente non saprei. Siamo veramente siamo molto simili come teatri d'opera. Vedo che qui a volte fanno 2 rappresentazioni lo stesso giorno, questo forse, ma questo è anche perché New York ha più di 10 milioni di abitanti e Milano ne ha solo 1. Siamo veramente, ci sentiamo due case consorelle, diciamo così.
La Scala, il Consul l'ha portata a New York, ma è più bello ascoltare l'opera alla Scala o al Met?
La domanda è cattivella, però la risposta è facile. La Scala è il tempio dell'opera italiana, ma uno dei tempi dell'opera mondiale. Poi il Met, Metropolitan Opera House, ovviamente ha una grandissima tradizione, ma tutt'oggi se guardi il programma, la stagione del Met è fatta per metà dall'opera italiana, per cui la risposta sta nella storia e in quello che rappresenta la Scala per i melomani, ma non solo, per gli amanti della musica classica, che sia sinfonica, operistica o del balletto, quindi la Scala number one.
Ma Toscanini aveva una performance migliore alla Scala o al Met?
Toscanini dava sempre il migliore di se stesso. Comunque la Scala per lui era casa sua, era il più grande amore della sua vita. Ha avuto tante donne, però la Scala era il suo più grande amore.
Allora lui sarebbe stato molto contento di vedere il programma della Scala presentato a New York.
Credo di sì, sì, ci teneva sempre al destino della Scala.